Good morning. First off, I'd like to begin by thanking the board for their time. I understand how busy you all can be, so I'll try to make this presentation as brief as possible while still trying to convey all the information that you may need. Um, my name is Charles Mead, and today I'm going to be discussing information technology and how it can be used in ISO 9001 2015 and implementation and certification. ISO 9001 is a quality management system, and what that means is uh, it's a system that documents processes and procedures to make sure that we are delivering a high quality product to our customers. Now, ISO 9001 specifically is a international standard that companies use to highlight specific core principles that the system needs. Now, ISO 9001 began in 1987, and since then has been revised 4 times. They meet every 7 years to review. And the last revision was the 2015 version. Before that, it was 2008. Now, it's important for our company to have ISO 9001 certification because it validates our product as a high quality product. Now, there are some customers that require their vendors to be ISO 9001 certified. So we'll be satisfying those customers as well. But having the certification means that we can reach to a more global market, giving us more customers and access to more customers. Now, the 2008 version was very cumbersome, which is why many companies didn't switch to it. However, it's requirement of ISO 9001 to update to the newest version within 3 years of its release. Meaning, if we want to be valid for a 2015 version, it has to be in place by December of 2018. So there were some key changes between the 2008 and the 2015 version. It's more of a shift to system management compared to being reactive. So instead of looking at all the problems that arise, we're trying to be proactive and recognize the risks that are possible with each different project and minimizing or mitigating the risks as much as possible. So to do that, they've been shifting more from a recording process to a more responsibility process. And in doing that, they also want to make it a little easier. And that is why they're shifting from a paper-based recording system to a digital recording system. Now, there's a significant reason to use digital over a paper system. For us, with us wanting to expand into new markets, possibly going multinational, this allows us to consolidate data from multiple locations. So if there's an issue, let's say we start a branch over in Nigeria, that would allow us to consolidate all the data and the processes and procedures from Nigeria to our corporate office here in the United States. That allows for easier auditing, and especially for the management to go through and make sure that all these systems and processes are being followed. In addition, it also allows us easier recording of data. So those people over in Nigeria can access the database, update it as necessary, and it also allows us on the corporate side of things to develop relationships with various vendors in Nigeria, for example, and it allows us to communicate to our branch in Nigeria who our accepted vendors are. All of this is going to be easily accessible to all members of our team, which makes it much more valuable. Now, having a multinational company could present challenges, which is why we're going to be looking at some of the requirements that would be needed. Now, there's two different options for hosting the data. We could host it on site in a company-hosted server or a company-ran server. The server wouldn't need to be extravagant. It would be actually probably bottom line would be beneficial. What would be requirement is, one, it would have to have internet access at all times, and it would have to be secured. Because without security, we could be leaking information to our competitors, which they would then get an advantage over us. So we want to be very careful with that. The other option is cloud hosting. Now, with cloud hosting, we wouldn't have to worry about hardware updates. We wouldn't have to worry about hardware management. Instead, that would be handled by a third party. Now, the only issue with that would be some of the ongoing costs. Because cloud hosting would be probably an annual fee, it would be significant in cost over if we had hosted it ourselves. However, there would be, like I said before, less risk in hardware and less requirements on our side of things. Now, security protocols would be similar. We'd have to be very diligent on the protocols and what we make sure our third party is doing. Now, digital benefits during an audit include employee training records, risk management and assessment, vendor tracking, supplier corrective issues, and I'm going to be going into these in detail in the next few slides. For example, we can actually keep our employee training records digitally, so we can keep track of where everybody's at and what we need to focus on for our needs. The training matrix here is an example. When we created this earlier, we noticed that we only had one person in the machine shop who was able to profile a drive drum, for example. So as a result, we decided it's necessary that we started training another person. As you can see, Fred was the only person available that could do it, and now Nathan Boyd is also able to do it. With minimal supervision, eventually we'll get him trained to be able to train others. But this highlights where some of our risks could be found. So we want to minimize those risks by making sure that we have multiple people trained in each area. Now, as we get new opportunities and they're presented to us, we want to make sure that we're doing an analysis of the risk. So part of ISO 9001 is that we do a risk assessment for each project that we bring up. We highlight potential problems, how probable their occurrences are, and this can be discussed over online services. That way, like using Nigeria for an example, we can discuss those different opportunities and minimize the risks to our branch in that area. Also, we keep track of who our approved vendors are. That way, we minimize how many errors happen from our vendors. If errors do happen, that's what a corrective action request is for. So we keep these on file as well. Again, all of this is digital. Instead of mounting up papers and papers and papers and having to have multiple copies over many branches, and including in our corporate office, this keeps it much more centralized. Now, because things do happen, our customers can request that we do a corrective action. That's because maybe we've made mistakes and we need to fix this issue and we need to prevent it from happening again. So that's why we do corrective action on our own. So this, we are able to keep track of customer rejection and complaints all in one area. So that way it's more transparent to our upper management and they can begin addressing issues. What the most important thing is that during an audit is just a following to see if we are following all of our procedures. And there's going to be 4 major things that could happen during an audit. One of the things is an opportunity for improvement. Now, an opportunity for improvement is noticing a risk is a potential, but it hasn't happened yet. Now, observation of deviation would be okay. Let's say we have a process in place for creating drawings. Now, our designer is supposed to note each revision. If he didn't note a revision, that would be a deviation, and if we find that during the audit process, that would be an observation of deviation. Now, a nonconformance to policy is an egregious breakdown in our procedure. This would be, it requires corrective action and needs to be addressed immediately. If there's enough nonconformancy, the customer could request a validation of our certification, and which could lead to the revocation of our certification. So I want to thank you for your time today. I hope that you see that digital is the way to go forward with this ISO 9001 certification, and I also hope that you see that there's very little upfront cost for us doing it, but there's many benefits. So I really hope that you would consider using ISO 9001 for moving forward. Thank you for your time.